begin. Party on, party people, let me hear some noise. DC's in the house, jump, jump, rejoices. There's a party over here, a party over there. Wave your hands in the air, shake the dairy, yeah. These three words mean you're getting busy. Whoop, there it is, hate man. Whoop, there it is. 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 Upside down and inside out. I'm about to show all you folks what it's all about. Now it's time for it to get on the mic and make this party hot. I'm taking it back to the old school, cause I'm an old fool who's so cool. If you wanna get down, I'ma show you the way. There it is, let me hear you say. Whoop, there it is. Come on, y'all. Whoop, there it is. Louder. Whoop, there it is. Come on, y'all. Whoop, there it is. Louder. Whoop, there it is. Come on, y'all. Whoop, there it is. Louder. Whoop, there it is. Come on, y'all. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, shaka-laka, 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 shaka. 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 Point blank, gin and juice I drink and bent as I puff on dank. Rock the mic, I crave skin rip. Find a honey dip to dip it in. Slam dunk it, stick it, flip it and ride that B-double-O-T-Y, oh my. Ooh, that's it, come on, whoop, there it is, I'm done. Whoop, come on, whoop, there it is. Louder, whoop, give it to me. Whoop, come on, get louder. Whoop, let it, whoop, come on, whoop, yeah.
Is on the air. For the next hour, Steve Russell and ESPN basketball analyst Mark Wise will hit the hard court as they look back on the week that was and look forward to the week that is in college basketball. Hoop, there it is, courtesy of Silverback Concrete, Titan MRI, and QC Kinetics. It's full court press time. Here are Steve and Mark.
To the 2 and 1 mic check, mass skill flow ill on the mess of steel. That's the grill of the microphone I just killed. Party people wish the party tag team is through.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Hoop. There it is. I'm Steve Russell alongside Mr. Mark Wise. We're going to talk some basketball with you today. If you want to join us live, you can do that. We'll tell you how you can do that. In the meantime, got a lot of hoops to talk about. What a week.
How about this weather, though? I love it. Yeah, no, I love it. I've been on a really bad weather travel plan the last 3 weeks. It seems like everywhere I go, there's 3 to 5 inches of snow. So, and that's not going to change this week either. But we'll get into that.
So you're
later.
Fortunate to be.
Yeah, I love this. Yes.
Yeah. What a week for the SEC to showcase.
Yeah,
this league.
I mean, I really thought, everybody wants to talk about the Auburn-Alabama game. I really thought Auburn controlled the line of scrimmage. And that's the reason why they were.
Wow.
I couldn't resist. I think I said this again. I was looking at 3-point differential and free throw attempt differential. And I thought that Auburn they didn't have to win both those, but they couldn't lose both of them. Well, lo and behold, they were plus 21 in 3-point differential. Alabama only made 5. And then the free throw differential, Alabama shot 35 and Auburn shot 32, so it's inconsequential. So in a game like that, plus 21 and 3-point differential is too much to overcome. It was a great game, great showcase for the league. The league itself is just continuing to flex its muscles because of all the work that the league did in November and December and the success that they had. That spillover now means there's almost no bad losses. Now, Oklahoma took one to LSU at home, and that's really going to hurt them.
Bad for them. Yeah.
And they did it in such a bad fashion, but again, I'm going to get ahead of myself.
You have the great fortune of being able to travel and go to all the venues. And look, I get rivalries.
Right.
I get that. But some of the fans, the Auburn-Alabama game the other day, it got pretty nasty.
Yeah.
And I don't know, does the league think that's a problem, or do you even think that's a problem?
I don't know. That's a great question. That question probably needs to be directed to Birmingham and the league office. I've said all along that we're allowing way too much meanness from fans, and that includes Florida's. So I don't want anybody to think that that's not the case either. But yeah, I mean, I could talk all day because as a society we have become meaner to each other, and that is not okay.
No, and look, I'm not fans are great for the most part. Okay?
Right, that's correct.
And rivalries are great.
Yes,
and it's a few that ruins it for the lot.
But it only takes a few.
That's right.
The problem.
That's right. And I think it's just it's made it where a showcase event like that, even for the league, gets overshadowed a little bit by the behavior.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I wish it was better. All right. Questions of the week brought to you by Davis Chevrolet, your premier North Central Florida dealer of Chevrolet. Send your questions to questions@gatorshows.com. Here we go. Jane in Gainesville, Gators shot 60% from the field, 50% from three, 83% from the stripe against the Gamecocks. Also won the rebound, steals, and assist stats. Are the Gators the only team that can beat the Gators when they're hot?
Well, no. I mean, if Auburn, and everybody's going to go, well, Florida beat Auburn. Well, that game was played on a certain day, and Florida won that game decisively by playing lights out. But I will say this. You give me those numbers any game, and I'll take my chances.
No doubt. Solana, I think it is in Tempe. Gators need to be a second-half team. What do they do with the half to help them make adjustments?
That's a great question. A lot of games, it's a matter of figuring out where your shots are going to come from and how they're going to come. And also, on the other side of the coin, what are you giving up? And what can you correct? Everybody thinks defense is based on just lockdown defense. I don't agree with that. As a matter of fact, I don't even think that's as important anymore as it is. Can you stop the other team at the right moment? Can you stop the best player on the other team at the right moment? It's not just get up in your grill for 40 minutes and be a lockdown defensive team. That's not the way the game's played anymore.
Facebook Live question from Art. Mark, what's it going to take for Florida to get into the Charlotte side of the bracket? I smell Tier 1.
Well, they're in Tier 1. There's no question about that. The Charlotte side of the bracket, is that I don't even know if that's a regional site. They've got to get – well, first of all, the way it works, if you're the top 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament, then whoever's number 1 gets to choose what site they want. Now, most everybody chooses the closest one, and
Sure.
number 2 then gets to choose, and so on. So I'm not that far along. I don't even know where the sites are right now.
Okay. Marvin in Gainesville, Auburn currently the overall number 1 seed in the tournament. Bama, Duke, and Florida the other 3. Does Bama's loss to Auburn put that in danger?
I don't think the number 1 will put them in. The loss will lose them the number 1 seed. They may go down a notch or 2 on the number 1 line.
Sharon,
if that makes sense.
It does. Sharon in Leeds. Auburn-Alabama game was the first ever 1 and 2 ranked games in SEC history. What does Bruce Pearl do to get his team ready?
That was the number 1, number 2 game in SEC history?
That's what she says.
Okay. That would surprise me a little bit if that's the case with the number of years that Kentucky's been number 1 in the country, but maybe it is. Again, Bruce Pearl is masterful. He's as good as anybody in what I want to say is the complete package. Super X's and O's guys, especially on the special team situations. He was ahead of the curve. We talked about this when he was the head coach at Tennessee. He was ahead of the curve, and now everybody's doing that, putting a big on the ball out of bounds and making it tough. Even if you just force a timeout, it's a win. So he's always been sensational in that area. I think he gets the media more than most, and maybe his couple of years at ESPN helped in that area because when he was let go at Tennessee, he worked for us for a couple of years before resurfacing at Auburn, so I think he gets it more than most. You can go back to the Tennessee days when he took his shirt off at the Lady Vols game with Pat Summitt, and when he went to Auburn, he went into some chemistry class the very first year. I mean, he gets marketing. So I've already talked about, marketing and X's and O's and big picture stuff. So he's as good as there is in our game right now, in my opinion.
Charles in Gainesville, interesting question. Should the Gators bail out of the SEC tournament and rest up for March Madness?
That's a really good question. I said this on the air the other day in our game. I don't think everybody wants to talk about getting in the top 4 of the SEC so that you get the double bye. And in years past, I think that's vital if you want to win the tournament. But I think more so this year, it's vital because that would eliminate any possibility of playing 4 or 5 games in 4 or 5 days. In this league, this particular year, as physical as it is. If you told, I'm going to say right now, if you told Bruce Pearl, Todd Golden, Nate Oates, let's just say, and Rick Barnes, that they're the 4 number 1 seeds, but you get beat in your first game, but you come out of it healthy in the SEC tournament, I would be interested to hear what those guys would have to say.
Yeah, I think
you want to be healthy for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to talk about the SEC tournament and what a special event it is to win. And this year it will be. I mean,
to get through the gamut.
Yeah, to get through the gamut. But you've got to come out healthy.
Penny in Pensacola, please complete this sentence. The Gators won't win it all in April because.
Well, again, I'm going to stick by what I've always said because they have a bad shooting night. They do what Alabama did against Auburn the other day, 5 for 26 at the arc, and the other team makes 10. Now you got to overcome that 15-point, 3-point differential. So I'm going to stick with that first. They've had a couple of bad defensive outings, but not many. So I'm going to stick with the offense.
I think that's been the difference. They've always scored. Right? They were
well, they didn't against Tennessee.
Well, okay,
yeah.
But you know where I'm going.
Right.
But it was the defensive side last year that was the.
Oh, you mean in years past?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, no question.
Yeah.
No, they're significantly better.
Yes. Kim in Gainesville. Hand-Lockton was brought back for tourney support. Is it worth losing his redshirt year?
Yeah, only Micah Hand-Lockton and his family can answer that question. They obviously must feel it's worth it. I think there's a certain loyalty involved to the program with that decision, in my view, with Condon going down. So,
well, and you have a chance.
It's like Florida picked up somebody at the trade deadline.
Yeah,
that's what it's like.
It is like, but and again, I don't want to speculate on how he made his decision.
Right. But
think about it. He's got a chance to be part of maybe winning everything.
Yeah, no question about it, and. It gives them some insurance with Condon. I don't know about Alexis and what his situation is, but, if he hadn't come on, then they're going to play that game with 2 bigs. So they would have had to have played small ball a lot, and that's kind of what got them in trouble in years past because they weren't good enough rebounding team.
Nicholas in Live Oak. Aberdeen stayed at Florida. Kugel transferred to Mississippi State. Aberdeen outscored Kugel 20-7 last Tuesday. Is there an advantage for consistency in your development as a player?
Well, the two aren't connected. I mean, it's easy to draw the dots. I don't know the situations for staying or going. Everybody is different, but if you picked out a different day and Kugel gets 19 points in a Mississippi State win and Aberdeen gets 7 in a Florida loss, then, I just don't think the two are connected. Everybody's individual situation is different.
Riley in Gainesville. No, the committee will have our Gators ranked 2nd today, but we beat Auburn in their house. Should the Gators be ranked number 1?
Well, you mean 2nd overall, I guess is what they're talking about. First of all, the committee's job is to evaluate the resumes and rank them in terms of the resume. Let me say this again. Auburn lost to Florida. Auburn has lapped the field in terms of their resume. They have 13 quad 1 wins. Florida has 5. They have 13 quad one wins. The next closest in the country has 8. So they have lapped the field, and Auburn could lose again this week. They're not going to because they have 2 home games, but they could lose again this week and still be the number 1 seed.
Vance and Gainesville, the more I watch the SEC, the more I believe there could be 4 SEC teams in the Final Four.
Maybe.
Yes or no?
Yeah, I think it's a distinct possibility. One of the problems that and you and I have talked about this, because there are going to be so many SEC teams in the tournament, and I think 12 is a lock, and then we'll see about the 13 and 14.
That just blows my mind.
But that means that you cannot eliminate all SEC teams from playing each other in the first weekend.
Right.
So
Math
you're
won't let that
going
happen.
to eat some of your own even in the NCAA tournament.
Marcia and Ocala, I don't know if you agree with this, Calipari's losing his reputation as a good coach and is now 0-5 against top 10 teams. Should he retire and salvage his reputation?
No, his reputation will live. He'll be in the Hall of Fame again. I think he's already in the Hall of Fame. He'll one day he'll be in the Kentucky Hall of Fame one day for what he did there as well. I mean, you got to remember his best players hurt. Boogie Flan. They've played significantly better in the last 3 weeks. They're a different team. If they had played that way in the first 3 weeks of the SEC season, they would not find themselves in this situation. But you are who you are in mid-February.
Let me digress here for just a second since Mark brought up Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Billy Donovan.
Yeah,
for being
what about
nominated for the
that?
Basketball Hall
34,
of Fame.
number 34, and his jersey was retired at Providence on Saturday. I
Yep.
saw that. So, yeah, well-deserved. Well-deserved. And as humble as of a big-time coach as I've ever been around.
Yeah, and a great sense of humor.
And maybe the best listener. When he asks you what's your opinion, he actually wants it.
I've told the story a lot.
Unlike you, when you ask me, I really know you don't want mine.
Wow. That's our podcast for today. We thank. Well, the heck with what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Forget it.
sorry. Sorry to interrupt.
Let's go ahead here. Will in Gainesville, is the SEC better because of coaching, NBA talent, or better NIL?
Yes, and yes.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, you must have the resources to acquire the talent. The coaching has never been better, and it's never been older. That's the one thing that I think he's leaving out of that equation. It's because of the age of the players.
Ryan in Jacksonville, is Missouri the most dangerous team in the SEC?
Well, I just had them twice last week at home against Oklahoma, where they waxed the Sooners pretty good, and then the second half at Georgia, another road win, another quad one win for Missouri on the road. I've said this for a month. They're the biggest surprise to me. I think they are more than capable of getting into the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. I like the way that they can beat you in different ways with different personnel. A very deep team. The combination and the difference in what skills they get out of Mark Mitchell and Tamar Bates and Caleb Grill. I mean, they're going to be a problem in the NCAA tournament, a big problem for somebody.
Damon in Gainesville, Mike White struggling at Georgia again. Another February fade's happening. The loss to Mizzou and A&M. Lenardi has 13 SEC teams making the tournament. Is Georgia going to make it?
It's going to be really difficult. They have 4 SEC wins. You have to get to 7, in my view, to be under consideration. I just don't know where they're going to come from now. They've got a bye, but 3 of their last 5 now are on the road, a place that they've had trouble with. They can't shoot well enough, and they've got turnover problems. That's a bad combination in this league this year.
Jalen in Gainesville, Patino has St. John's winning again.
Right.
Ranked in the top 10, just beat Creighton. Are they the dark horse to win it all?
They don't shoot it well enough, so no. They don't take a lot of threes, don't make a lot of threes. There's a big article written about how Patino has gone against his own analytics, meaning when the three-point shot first came in, Patino was one of the first to put his arms around it.
Yes.
Billy Donovan was a beneficiary of that, and they took Providence to the Final Four because a lot of coaches were fighting that. Well, now Patino has a team that doesn't shoot very well. So he's gone back and gone, well, we make twos at such a high rate. That's got to be better than missing threes all the time. So they've kind of gone against analytics. They're on top in the Big East, but they got beat midweek. They just beat Creighton yesterday, but they lost to somebody midweek. But they're on top of the league right now.
Finally, Robbie in Fort Lauderdale. UConn stopped South Carolina's basketball winning streak at 71 in Columbia, where they haven't lost since December of 2020.
Right.
Was this the matchup of the best two women's basketball coaches in Gino and Staley?
I mean, again, the coaching acumen in the women's game has gotten deeper and deeper. I turned it over yesterday as I was I'm watching. This is the way my life is right now. I've got my iPad open. I'm watching UNC Asheville because that's who I have Thursday against Charleston Southern. So I just thought, okay, I'm going to flip it over. And I flipped it over in the middle of the second quarter when UConn started their run. And then it was like a train wreck. I couldn't stop watching. UConn was so good and played so well for 40 minutes. You know, we've talked about this. If you play a 32-game schedule, maybe twice a year you play lights out, twice a year you have stinkers. Well, maybe UConn played one of their lights out and South Carolina played their stinker at the same time. And that's the result you got. But UConn was fabulous yesterday.
Clinic.
I mean, they just...
Clinic.
It was like South Carolina could not catch up.
Yeah.
The entire game.
Yeah.
And how many open shots did UConn get?
Yeah.
I mean,
and
repeatedly.
Yeah.
Ball movement was sensational for the Huskies.
Rebound, go down the floor, spacing, open. I mean, just.
And let it go. They aggressive mindset. They kept it. It made me feel good because I think in the NCAA tournament you have to win that way. You have to be willing, if you're going to beat Alabama in the NCAA tournament, if you're going to beat Auburn in the NCAA tournament, in my opinion, you have to be willing to score in the 80s.
Yeah,
you are not going to grind it out.
Yeah, you got to let it fly.
Yeah.
And, again, they mentioned in the broadcast that after Tennessee with UConn, he was a little hard on whatever that is.
Right.
I don't know, but whatever the formula was.
He hasn't lost his touch, folks. Just relax.
He can still coach a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that's true. Okay, let's do our play of the week, which is brought to you by Quality Plumbing. When you need a quality plumber, rely on the same company Gainesville's trusted since 1984. Quality Plumbing, their name says it all.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, LSU was ahead of Ole Miss, I want to say 11 with 2.5 to go and lost the game on a tip-in at the buzzer. Maybe sometimes the basketball gods hears your prayers in their answer because LSU on the road at Oklahoma the other day is down. I think they're down 5 with 20 seconds to go. Cam Carter gets a 4-point play. They get a turnover. Cam Carter gets a 3-point play, and LSU wins. He has a 4-point play and a 3-point play in the last 20 seconds of the game. That does not happen very often.
And a damaging loss.
Yeah, that Oklahoma, that was one. It was not a resume builder. It was a resume protector. Yeah. And they didn't do it. But Oklahoma, I know of, as of this morning, is still in. They're in the last 4 in. Georgia is the team that slipped out. They're in the first 4 out. So I've been using this phrase, the Lunardi ladder. You win, you move north on the Lunardi ladder. You lose, you move south.
Okay, I like it. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Much more hoop. There it is to come. Stay with us.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
I'm David Steele, voice of the Gators in 1984, when Brian Nasworth began a new journey, starting Quality Plumbing.
And I'm Mick Hubert. When I was the voice of the Gators, I called championship games, while Quality Plumbing was becoming champions for the Gainesville area.
I'm Sean Kelly, the voice of the Gators, as Quality Plumbing celebrates its 40th anniversary. For years to come, I'll be calling games, and Quality Plumbing will continue to be the #1 plumbing company for Gator Nation.
After you work out, you can feel worn out. Reach for Core Power and rise to a whole new level of recovery. Protein to build muscle. Electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to power on. Champion your recovery with Core Power.
Florida Victorious is a powerful chapter in UF's NIL story.
We are
Florida Victorious.
Gator fans, let's get on board now, okay?
Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Roos Ogra for your personal price plan today.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you. Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent.
For over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete. Welcome back to Hoop There It Is. That's Mark Wise. I'm Steve Russell. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget, we're broadcasting from Coach's podcast room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill here in Celebration Point. You can watch us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen later on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube Podcast, any of the nearly 40 platforms where you can find your favorite podcast. Like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the episodes. We're taking questions and comments on Facebook Live. Let us know in the comment section, and we will get to them. In the meantime, let's go to our features. Mark, we'll do our Coach of the Week, brought to you by International Diamond Center. Don't settle for a knockoff diamond when you can get the best diamonds at the best prices. For quality, selection, and value, International Diamond Center, the official jeweler of the Florida Gators.
This is an easy one for me this week because Tom Izzo became the all-time winningest coach in Big Ten basketball history, supplanting Bob Knight. Tom Izzo's one of those guys that has stood the test of time and does it in a certain way. And he's had to adjust a little bit, and he's had some down years in the last 10 years, but he's still getting it done. Will be a factor in March this coming season.
I've watched them several times, and it just seems like they're a little better offensively than they've been.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole key.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's one of those guys that'll tell you we got to defend and
right.
rebound.
That's
no,
where I'm going.
Coach.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Got to make shots, man.
Team of the Week brought to you by Roos Ogra State Farm Insurance. State Farm agent Roos Ogra is your go-to agent in Gainesville and North Central Florida for the service you deserve at the price you want.
Well, I'm going to stay in the Big Ten because Michigan on the road yesterday beat Ohio State. They have now won 6 in a row. Dusty May, the head coach at Michigan, I think they were preseason picked 7th in the Big Ten, 8th maybe.
Wow.
They're on top in that league, 11-2 in the Big Ten, and everybody's chasing the maize and blue right now.
Speaking of the Big Ten, you know, Zach Edey leaves Purdue.
Right.
If I said to you, give me the pecking order in the Big Ten, where would you go?
In terms of teams this year?
Yes.
Oh, I think it's a quagmire at the top. I think you've got Michigan State, you've got Wisconsin, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but what a turnaround offensively. I'll get into that more later. Michigan's in that mix. Purdue's in that mix. There's no clear-cut favorite. They've got about 4 or 5 teams that it's going to be interesting down the stretch to see who can win the Big Ten.
I'm glad you're going to mention Wisconsin later because, again, that's one of those schools that historically...
Yeah, slow ball.
Yeah. Hard to watch.
Ball fake. Everybody catch, ball fake. Michigan State wrote the book on that. Catch, pass, ball fake. Catch, pass, ball fake.
And you look at some of Wisconsin's scores now.
We're going to talk about that a little bit.
Okay. We'll take a break, come back. Second half of our Hoop There It Is podcast yet to come. Stay with us.
Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors who expect unrivaled quality, including the head ball coach's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. You only have one chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to see why they're the #1 choice in the Southeast. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back. Silverback Concrete is a family-led
At Davis Gainesville Chevy, everything's on sale. For a limited time, brand new 4-wheel drive crew cab Silverados, just $449 a month. That's new Silverados, only $449 a month. New Tahoes, Equinox, Blazers, and Trax, under $20,000. With hundreds of used trucks and SUVs, under $18,000. Give us a call or visit us online at DavisGainesvilleChevrolet.com. We're here for you.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
Crystal Air and Water, we've got a winning offer for you. As you switch off the AC and turn on the heat, why not upgrade to a new system? Take advantage of our amazing financing options. You can get a 12.99 fixed rate for 5, 10, or 15 years, or you can score big with 12 months, same as cash financing. Don't fumble on comfort this season. Crystal Air and Water has you covered. Call them today at 352-333-0460 or visit acpenguin.com.
License number CMC 1249384.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
At Titan MRI and Imaging, you'll visit the only locally owned and operated MRI imaging center in town. Start feeling better today. It's your choice. TitanMRI.com.
Let's go to our Facebook Live. Got a question there from Brad Mark. When the Gators are healthy, who starts, who comes off the bench?
It'll be their same starting 5. It'll be there's no need to mess with that, in my opinion. Everybody's comfortable in their roles, so it will be Condon and Chinyelu and Martin, Clayton, and Richard.
Sub of the Week, brought to you by Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover 11 delicious Cuban sandwiches at Miapa Latin Cafe. 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua, never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. Sub of the Week.
Well, I'm not going very far for that one because that's Micah hand-logged. And the number that jumped out at me the other day is 20 because he played 20 minutes. And that's a pretty good place to start. Everybody There's practice shape and there's game shape. So I think the announcers, I got to see some of it. They were talking about he looked winded early on. Well, that's to be expected. But to play 20 minutes, I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah, me too. I didn't think he'd play that much.
Right.
And it is impressive. Games to look for, brought to you by Florida Victorious. Game-changing plays, life-changing impact. Florida Victorious, the proud partner of the Florida Gators on and off the court.
Well, if you haven't seen Cooper Flagg play, tonight is your chance. They're at Virginia. I don't think they'll have any trouble with the with UVA, but they are on tonight, and he's worth watching. Tomorrow night, Texas A&M plays at Mississippi State. I think that's worthy of a watch. I know Florida plays also. Wednesday night, Bama at Missouri. I'm really interested in two things. Missouri hasn't really gotten that, that big-time win other than the Kansas, but as we've come to find out, this is not Kansas's best team. How does Bama respond after not shooting the ball well? Missouri is capable of getting Bama. Thursday night, you need to watch your Big South. I'm on the wild card trip this week, okay? So I'm off the SEC this week, filling in for other people. UNC Asheville, who's trying to keep up with High Point at the top of the Big South. They're at Radford. Radford, coached by Darius Nichols, former assistant here. On Friday, Michigan State at Michigan. Ooh. So we talked about the teams at the top of the Big Ten. On Saturday, Tennessee at Texas A&M. First team to 40 wins. Iowa State at Houston. Two of the better teams in the Big 12. Ole Miss at Vandy. That game really intrigues me. Vandy could use that win on their resume. It would be their 6th SEC win. 7 gets you in consideration. 8 gets you in my opinion. I said that on the air with Missouri the other day. When they won at Georgia, it was their 8th SEC win. Done. They're in. Lock. Period. 8-10 in this league gets you in. Kentucky at Alabama also on Saturday. So for Bama starts a really difficult stretch. They have had the easier SEC schedule to date, but their last 7 games are just brutal. And then on Sunday, Drake at Northern Iowa, a battle of two of the best teams in the Valley.
I got to ask you this, because I think if you said to the average basketball fan, hey, right now, who are the best teams in the SEC? I think probably most people would probably in some form Auburn, Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Texas A&M,
zero,
love, and maybe it's their style of play, Mark. But I wouldn't want to play them.
No. They're difficult to play. They're built different. They're wired different in how they score. They are the quintessential get the puck on goal and see what you can make happen in front. Okay. Wade Taylor, if he played for other teams, I think he would probably be a little bit more widely known. And then the addition of Phelps and Payne, those two guys have made a big difference for them. Very physical team. They play that weird, funky matchup, man, hybrid zone contraption that Buzz likes to run, and you've literally got to shoot the ball well against them. You are not going to get second chance opportunities, and you've got to keep them off the glass.
Put your coach hat on here, because I love the word you used when he does employ that, whatever you call it, that funky thing, right? Coach hat on here. How do you coach against that when they employ it?
Well, I would start offensively with my defense.
Okay.
So if you want to keep them from scoring and setting that 3-quarter 1-2-2 kind of slow you down into the hybrid.
They don't score.
They don't score.
Right.
So if they don't score, but again, that's easier said than done. They crash the glass, and we're in an era right now with the SEC. They don't call fouls on rebounding. They just don't, unless you are just so obvious. But when the ball goes up, it is. I said this on the air. It's Darwinism. It's survival of the fittest. Okay, because it is combat, block to block. So you've got to figure out a way to rebound. If you can do that, then I think you can have better success on offense.
Okay. Baller of the Week brought to you by Crystal Air and Water. Family-owned and operated, Crystal Air and Water services air conditioners, furnaces, boilers, and more for Gainesville, Alachua, and nearby areas. We're not comfortable until you are.
I don't know why I got focused on the Big Ten this week, but Wisconsin went into Purdue and won in Mackey Arena, no small feat. And I didn't write down the score, but I want to say it was in the 80s to 70s. And for a Wisconsin team to go on the road and get 80 points in any game in the last 10 years, they've had a complete makeover. Greg Gard, the head coach there, decided that they're going to play analytically. And they now take a lot of threes. They shoot early. They attack early. That has not been the case, so credit to him. But John Tanji, who he came from Missouri. He had an injury-riddled season a year ago where he was one of the reasons why, one of the many things that happened to Missouri last year that were all bad. So he didn't get to play because he had a successful career at Colorado State. Went to Missouri, got hurt, only played in 8 games. Well, now he's averaging better than 24 over his last 7. He went for 32 in Mackey Arena. I don't know the last time a Wisconsin player went for 32. Now, Wisconsin fans, don't blow me up. I'm sure there was a guy that did it last year, but I think you get my point.
Yeah,
so it's a complete offensive makeover for the Badgers.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly like Wisconsin was an offensive juggernaut all these years. Has Virginia, I watched them, they still struggle to score. Are they in a transition now?
Well, again, their record is what it is, so that tells me they don't have the same talent. That's where all that begins, okay? Everybody wants to talk about the Tony Bennett way. Well, the year they won it all, they had 2 NBA players. So don't think that, this poor Virginia team just overcame. It goes back to the Butler days. When Butler finished, when they went and lost back-to-back title games in the NCAA tournament, they had 2 pros. They had 2 pros. Gordon Hayward played in the league for 15 years, so I don't want to hear about, poor little Butler. You must have NBA talent. That's where item number 1, if you want to win it all, you must have NBA talent.
Okay. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll look at Florida's games this week and assess where they are. Much more to come. Hoop, there it is.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
I'm David Steele, voice of the Gators in 1984, when Brian Nasworth began a new journey, starting Quality Plumbing.
And I'm Mick Hubert. When I was the voice of the Gators, I called championship games, while Quality Plumbing was becoming champions for the Gainesville area.
I'm Sean Kelly, the voice of the Gators, as Quality Plumbing celebrates its 40th anniversary. For years to come, I'll be calling games, and Quality Plumbing will continue to be the #1 plumbing company for Gator Nation.
Crystal Air and Water, we've got a winning offer for you. As you switch off the AC and turn on the heat, why not upgrade to a new system? Take advantage of our amazing financing options. You can get a 12.99 fixed rate for 5, 10, or 15 years, or you can score big with 12 months, same as cash financing. Don't fumble on comfort this season. Crystal Air and Water has you covered. Call them today at 352-333-0460 or visit acpenguin.com.
License number CMC 1249384.
At Davis Gainesville Chevy, everything's on sale. For a limited time, brand new four-wheel drive crew cab Silverados, just $449 a month. That's new Silverados, only $449 a month. New Tahoes, Equinox, Blazers, and Trax, under $20,000. With hundreds of used trucks and SUVs, under $18,000. Give us a call or visit us online at DavisGainesvilleChevrolet.com. We're here for you.
Over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
If you've got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
And don't forget, Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. That's Silverback Concrete. Welcome back. Facebook Live question from Robert. Says, great show, guys. Thank you. Watching some of the national games over the weekend, seems like most announcers were more focused on Auburn, Alabama, A&M, Tennessee, etc., with Florida as an afterthought. I may have my orange and blue glasses on, you think.
Yeah.
But our Gators are sure fun to watch. Thoughts?
Again, I'm sure that this conversation's going on in Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, A&M. Florida gets more than their fair share of national coverage.
And, Robert, I would also say this. If you look at the games, no disrespect meant to South Carolina, right? But this,
right.
It was not a marquee matchup like Auburn, Alabama was.
Well, and the NCAA committee, when they released their top 16 on Saturday and Florida's on the one line, you got to remember that's
respect.
Speaking to the Gator.
Yes.
And to the Gator Nation.
Yeah.
Period.
So Robert, I think that's part of it. You know, if Florida played Tennessee when they played them, that was talked about a lot.
Right.
It was a big game.
Or the Auburn game.
Right. Core 4 teams brought to you by Fairlife Core Power. Discover Core Power protein shakes by Fairlife. Explore our 26G and 42G high protein drinks, perfect for workout recovery and nutrition.
I had two decisions to make about ranking the top 4. One was what to do with Alabama. I think you have to ding them a little bit because they were at home. And then what to do with Florida as it relates to Alabama. I've decided to go ahead and put Florida ahead of Alabama. So I've got Auburn, Florida, Bama, and Houston instead of some other teams, Duke or Houston just went to Arizona and won. So that's a great win. So I'm giving them a little bit of a nudge over Duke. Duke would be my 5th team.
I'm glad you mentioned Houston because they probably don't get a lot of national love. What do you see with Houston?
Same team they've always been. They are Texas A&M in the Big 12. They get the ball up on the rim and go get it. I think they're a different defense because they always, what they call their monster game, they double. No matter who gets it on the low block, they go double. And they're good out of it. They're aggressive out of it. They have great recovery speed, closeout speed. So they're built to beat you defensively. I don't know that this is his best offensive team, and that would bother me in March.
You're really an offensive guy.
You got to score to win. If you play a similar team to you in the NCAA tournament, okay, that's fine. You can grind out a 65-60 win. But if you get matched up against Gonzaga, you're not going to beat Gonzaga 62-60. It's not going to happen. They're not going to allow it to happen with the pace that they play. And I could give you, Iowa State significantly better this year because they're better offensively. I'm talking about significantly better to win games in March.
I understand a lot of some teams, like Wisconsin, right, have changed their philosophy, right? They're scoring more. Can you still win big in a year playing 65 to 60? I don't think you can.
I don't know that you can. I would only say because the players are older, then I think it gives you a little bit more of an opportunity because they're just not going to have the dips that younger players have. Old wins in the 60s, old wins in the 80s. Okay. You look at the best freshmen in the SEC this year. Trey Johnson, Texas. They have 5 league wins. Asa Newell, Georgia has 3 wins. Fears, they have 4 wins. Now, the guys who are, Pettiford at Auburn comes off the bench. He's a double-figure scorer, but he doesn't have to get 15 every night for them to win. So when you can sprinkle in your freshmen like that, it makes you that much better of a team. But the teams that are relying on freshmen don't. Duke is the exception. I get it. But look at their length. I mean, who are they big? But Cooper Flagg, he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. So we're not talking about, pick number 22 in the first round. So Duke is the exception. But Old is still winning, and Old will win the NCAA tournament this year.
I also want to ask about schools that are struggling a little bit after they have longtime coaches go. Jim Boeheim, for example.
Right.
Is that just because it takes time to recruit who you want based on what the other guy did? What do you look at with that?
Steve, I cannot assess that until I know how many dollars they have to work with and compare that to the rest of the league.
Good point.
Period. I don't care who takes over at Syracuse, who's the next head coach at wherever.
Yeah.
You've got to have the resources to compete in your conference.
Good point. Let's take our women's basketball check-in, brought to you by Meldon Law. With 50 years of experience, the only accident law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Meldon Law won't back down. How about the Gators with the whoop? Down.
The win at the buzzer, it was interesting because when I was watching the replay or the clip of it, the shot was taken with like 4 seconds to go in the game. But because it hit the front of the rim, popped up on the backboard, and then went through, it took that much time for all of it to happen, so it became a buzzer beater. You would never get that bounce at the Carnival. So you're not going to get a teddy bear when you shoot that shot and it goes on the iron in the Carnival, but good for the Gators to get that. I talked for the last couple of weeks about USC and UCLA, and Juju Watkins went for 38 or whatever in the game, and they upset UCLA at UCLA, so they knocked the Bruins from the unbeaten ranks. And then we've already talked about the UConn, I don't even know what you call it, the offensive clinic.
It was.
That the Huskies put on the road. If that game had happened in Storrs, you would go, no, okay.
Yeah.
But that game happened in Columbia, and they played the second half, and the outcome was never in doubt.
It was, if you had a tape of that game, this is offense.
Yes. Coaching clinic.
Right there.
Yeah.
It was wonderful to watch.
Yeah. Ball movement was great. The aggressiveness that they played with was great. Their ability to get the ball out in transition, but to play on the second side of the floor. Now, I get it. Sometimes they throw ahead and somebody be open, but it was usually the second side of the floor. Throw ahead, reverse it, boom, over and over. And South Carolina could never get into a flow in the game because of it.
But as I'm watching that, I'm going to pat his ego here a little bit, but it's the truth. I've known him a long time. A lot of times, Mark, I'll watch a game and think of you because of something you said here, and I've learned from you. And as much of a clinic as that was in terms of rebounding, get down the floor, you got to make the shots.
Yeah, I mean, they made 7 first half threes. I don't know how many they made in the second half, but Fudd was sensational. Beckers was sensational. They had a 3-point shooter that made 4 or 5. I mean, but they had wide open looks. These were not hotly contested 3-point looks. They continually got sensational looks. Now, UConn fans are going to say, well, why don't they do that all the time?
Why don't NBA teams do that all the time?
Yeah, if I had the answer to that, Steve and I wouldn't be here.
That's correct. We'll take a break. We'll wrap up our hoop. There it is for today. Stay with us.
Crystal Air and Water, we've got a winning offer for you. As you switch off the AC and turn on the heat, why not upgrade to a new system? Take advantage of our amazing financing options. You can get a 12.99 fixed rate for 5, 10, or 15 years, or you can score big with 12 months, same as cash financing. Don't fumble on comfort this season. Crystal Air and Water has you covered. Call them today at 352-333-0460 or visit acpenguin.com.
License number CMC 1249384.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Roos Ogra for your personal price plan today.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors who expect unrivaled quality, including the head ball coach's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. You only have one chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to see why they're the #1 choice in the Southeast. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Florida Victorious is a powerful chapter in UF's NIL story.
We are
Florida Victorious.
Gator fans. Let's get on board now, okay?
Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators.
At Titan MRI and Imaging, you'll visit the only locally owned and operated MRI imaging center in town. Start feeling better today. It's your choice. TitanMRI.com.
We wrap it up by looking at Florida and Oklahoma. Oklahoma certainly struggling, Mark, but look, if you're Florida, you still got to win this game. It doesn't matter who you play.
It's a resume protector for the Gators. So Oklahoma is maybe the poorest rebounding team in the league. They've had major issues with that all season long. They are a good offensive team. All of their numbers are in the top 5 in conference play in terms of field goal shooting, 3-point shooting, free throw percentage. So they've got one of the outstanding freshmen in the country in Jeremiah Fears, who's listed as a lottery pick, 6'4", legit point guard. They've got Jalen Moore, the transfer from Georgia Tech in his second year at Oklahoma now, who's led them in scoring, been their most consistent player. So they've got Goodine is a guy that's a 3-point shooter. I had him in the game where he made 9 in the spectacular performance that he had in that game. So they are very capable offensively. They have struggled with their defense, and they've struggled on the glass.
So I guess if Oklahoma's going to, in theory, if they win it, higher scoring.
3-point shooting. Yeah. The upset, the genesis of all great upsets, no different than UConn on the road yesterday, starts, ends at the 3-point line. I'm saying Oklahoma will have to make at least 10 to be around at the end.
Wow. One more time, plug the games you're doing this week.
I'm on the road, 2 games. Thursday night in the Big South, I'm pitch hitting for Paul Biancardi, who has a high school assignment. So I've got UNC Asheville at Radford. And then on Saturday, I've got a game I'm pretty stoked about in the MAC. Akron is chasing history. They are undefeated in MAC play, and they play at Always Dangerous, Ohio. So I'm headed from Radford, Virginia to Athens, Ohio. And yes, it's supposed to snow where I'm going this week.
Thanks to Campus USA for helping us with our live comments from those who are watching on Facebook and other places. And thanks to Zach for producing the podcast today. We thank you for tuning in, and that's going to do it for our Hoop There It Is podcast for today. We are back next week talking more hoops with you. For Mark Wise, I'm Steve Russell. So long, everybody.
We thank you for listening to Hoop There It Is with Steve Russell and ESPN's Mark Wise. Hoop There It Is, a service of Silverback Concrete, Titan MRI, and QC Kinetics. It's available for you via podcast at WRUF.com and on the WRUF radio app. Hoop There It Is, paid for by Weeby Marketing and produced by ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, the home of the Florida Gators.